which are not relational databases. So now this SQL is used for querying the data to the relational databases. So what would be the agenda for today is what is SQL? So then comes the things that with the SQL. So these all parts comes into picture. So DDL, DML, DQL, DCL, and TCL. So what does this mean? DDL is data definition language, DML is data manipulation language, DQL is data query language, DCL is TCL is means transaction control language, and DCL is data control language. So basically, with SQL, so these all things come into the picture. So we had different concepts in Java, like OOPS and all those stuff, and same in SQL. We have these many means the SQL is divided into these five things. So let's start with what is SQL. So basically, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So what structured query language is, means it works on structured data. So the database which we are having is basically structured on which we are going to query this. So it is a standard language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data in the databases. So basically, SQL is used for processing the relational databases, that is MySQL, SQL Server, MS Access, Oracle, and all these things. So all the relational databases use SQL for their query. So all these databases have their own means wrappers built upon them. So they have some different functions, but all the basic things are derived through the SQL only. So SQL is a standard, basically ISO standard defined language. So based on that standard, so each and every language may have some or other functions differently mentioned. So Mansi, you need to add anything on this?
No, Aditya, please continue.
Uh, so then comes what is the relation RDBMS. So RDBMS is kind of relational database management system. So what relational means is, so it is like a vertical kind of thing. So we have table and column structures, and these tables and columns are interrelated to each other. So we can see the all the modern databases which we use mostly like SQL, MS SQL. So all these are RDBMS only. So for the RDBMS, these are the terminologies mainly which we refer to. So in the RDBMS, we have table structure. So basically, so this whole thing, what we see is a table. So this is a table for employees. So and then we have the columns. So columns or fields or attributes, we can call them anything. So these are the columns: employee ID, employee name, post, and salary. So these are the columns or fields or attributes which you could see in the relational databases. And then there are some things like a domain. So what domain specifies over here is, so what would be, so domain specifies like fixed values which we could insert, means, or we could tell that the domain specifies that the value should be between 5,000 to 10,000 only. So this kind of constraints or that we could add, means that we call it as domain. So then we have basically degree. So degree is nothing but the number of columns which are present in our relational databases. And then comes the records or rows, what we call. So records are basically the rows which we insert in the table structure. So we have columns, and every column will have some data, and that basically that data is called as row or record or tuple in RDBMS system. So is it clear?
Yes, guys, are you clear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So then when it comes to the data, so the integrity of the data is very much required. So what specifies the integrity for the data in the RDBMS system? So basically these are the four types of means data integrity constants which we could consider while creating our relational database. Means while creating a relational database or creating our tables and columns, we need to consider these four data integrity constants. So basically, the first one is the entity integrity. So it specifies that. We have discussed in the previous slide that So what we call this is a row record or tuple. So the row should not be repeated in any of the database. So any of the tables or rows should not be repeated. So that what we call is as entity integrity. So every entity present in our database should be unique. So then comes the domain integrity. So what domain integrity specifies is it enforces valid entries for a given column. So basically means here we can see this for the salary we have given the domain that 5,000 to 10,000. So basically these are the limit which we specified for employee name. So basically we can give the limit to 255 characters or anything like that. So basically we should specify the format or range of the values for the column, and your whenever you are inserting the data in the rows or in the table in the relation database system, so it should maintain the domain integrity. So that is the one thing. So then comes the referential integrity. So what referential integrity specifies is that so rows cannot be deleted which are used by other records. So basically we do have the concept of foreign key or foreign key which you say so which is used in the different multiple tables as an so we can consider a single primary key or a single entity as used as a reference in the other table. So basically when you try to delete it from one table, other table basically should not get harmed. So if you are consider you are having so I'll try to explain one example moreover. So here we can see, so these are the two tables. So one is customers, another one is orders. So basically what referential integrity specifies is that so we can see this customer ID has been used as an foreign key or is a table column. Initially, you can consider it as a table column in the orders table as well. So now if for the customer 4, I'm having an order, already having two orders. But if I delete the means if I delete the customer from the customers table, so then this orders table, so whenever if I try to query something on the orders or get the customer name from the order, so then I will not be able to find the customer details in my customers table. So that referential integrity we need to maintain. So basically, whenever you are deleting any of the record, you need to consider so that record is not being used in any of other tables, basically. And then the last thing is user defined integrity. So basically this could be the any user specified rules. So user specified rules so in some cases we have some drop down values. So we specify that only these values should be present in our these values should be present, and some business rules we add. So we consider it as adding age should be always greater than 80, then only the record should get inserted in the tables. So these kind of user defined rules also we can basically apply on the relational databases for the integrity part. So is this clear? Hello.
Yes, guys. Is
Yes,
this
yes,
clear?
yes.
So Mansi, you need to add anything on this?
No, 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 no.
Okay. So I'll go to the next part then. So then we come to the next part, that is the SQL commands. So SQL commands basically which we discuss in the agenda, that there are these 5 kinds of SQL commands. So one is for basically DDL. So what SQL commands are? SQL commands are instructions. It is used to communicate with the database. So it is also used to perform specific tasks, functions, and queries to the data. So SQL can perform various tasks like create table, add data, drop, everything means set permission. So based on these five things, SQL works. Means based on these 5 kinds of commands, SQL we can connect to the database. So these are the five types of SQL commands which you could see. So this is the first one we will look now. So that is the DDL. So basically DDL is description language, which we could say. So here in this section of the in this section of commands, that is DDL commands, we have the commands like create, drop, alter, and truncate. So basically, any alteration which we are doing to the table structure, so creating a table or removing some columns, adding some columns, clearing the data, dropping the table. So all these things comes under this category. So that is the DDL. So DDL changes the structure of the table, like creating a table or deleting everything. So DDL basically would come under altering the means changing the table structure. So one more thing to be specified about DDL. So DDL commands are auto committed. So basically, so what we could say is, so we have transactions or transaction life cycle in our application. So basically, so this DDL commands don't come under this transaction. So basically, once you hit this DDL command, so the things are already committed and the table structure should be already changed if you use the commands moreover. So these are the basically DDL commands for DDL commands, that is create, drop, alter, and truncate. So create basically create table has this structure that create table. So this is the syntax basically what we call as create table. We can specify the table name and column, and then we need to specify the data type. So here we can basically give a number of column names with the data types for creating the table. So we'll just go with size. So here, so you can look into this query that we are creating a table. So this is the structure, create table, person. So persons is the table name. And then basically I'm specifying these many columns I need in my person table. So here we can see that this is the person ID, last name, first name, city, and address. So, and here I'm specifying the data types with the comma separated. So this data types basically are for what we call is the data integrity or domain integrity we could consider in the data integrity part. So with this, basically, what this SQL SQL or database will make sure that whenever you are inserting the value in the persons table, so it will consider person ID as integer only. So this is so if I run this command, so here you can see the query is successfully executed, and here a table persons table with name persons it is created. So if I run the select query over here, so select start from persons. So you can see the query was successfully executed, but we have no result set. So basically you will get an empty result set because we have just created the persons table here. So this is how we create a table. So then the next thing we'll go with the alter table command. So with the alter table, so what we can do is so the next command over here is alter table. If I could say alter, basically we can add or modify the columns. Means if I can add a new column to your already existing table, or you can modify the already existing column data type. So basically, if you are having some, so if I consider if I'm having so in my persons table, so I'm having this person ID column already present, but with the person ID, it was int previously, but I need to change the data type to varchar. So then for that, I could basically use this alter table command. So now I'm basically what I'll be doing, I will be altering the table persons, which is already present, and then I'll be adding this email, basically a new column email with varchar means with the data type varchar and length 255 with this alter table command. So now here you can see this email, a new column basically is getting generated in the persons table. So then we basically have the command of drop the table. So basically what this drop table does, so drop and truncate. So these two are too confusing. I mean, a kind of confusing thing. So what drop does and what truncate does. So so basically with the drop table, so what drop table does is, so it deletes all the entries which are already present in my table, and it also deletes the table itself. So with the drop table, it will delete the entries present, rows which are present in my table, and also the table structure. But with the truncate command, basically it will just clear the rows which are present in my table. So it will not basically drop is used to delete everything, and truncate is like deleting the data which is present in my table. So so this is the main difference between drop and truncate. So is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. So these are the DDL commands basically, so which are used for creating or deleting the table or altering the table. So with these DDL commands, we would be looking into the constraints parts. So what are the constraints? So constraints we consider as restrictions on the data which we could add. So restrictions may be restrictions or rules which we enforce on the data column. So restrictions can be uh, if we could say means giving an example of restriction constraint means uh, okay, so not null is a constant. So what with not null we do is we specify that uh, so the column which will be entering, so this, so now if I've created this table persons with this so I've created this table persons. So here, basically, we have not provided any constraints other than that. So the data type, other than the data type specified, we have not given any other constraint to the table. So it can accept any values means with the specified data type. But now if I need to specify that my ID should not be null anytime. So then I can give the constraint to that table as not null. So basically, while creating the table, I can give like a not null. So basically with this, what happens is, so whenever anybody tries to insert the data with null value for person ID, then my table, basically my SQL will give an error that person ID should be always present. So, so these basically constraints are limitations which we could add on the data. So these are the constraints which are already means these are the constraints which we could use, which are already provided by SQL to us. So mainly not null constant. So basically this constant ensures that the column cannot have null value. So basically not null checks that that column will not contain any null value in it. So default constraint. So basically with the default constraint, what we could specify is that, so if there's some city name or anything in our column, and there we need to give some default value to the column. So if an user is inserting one row in the table, and then he does not insert the city name for the specific person. So then if we are giving the default value as NA, or we need to specify it or Pune or some specific value, so that we can do with this basically default constant. So so then we have this unique constant. So whenever we specify, so the ID we know ID should be unique. So we can basically write unique as well. So in this constant, so basically what it will ensure unique is, so unique will basically ensure that all the values in the columns are different. So it will not allow duplicates for you to insert uh, in your table basically. So primary key. So primary key is a unique identifier which you could say for every row or record in the database, primary keys and unique identifiers. So basically, any of your table should contain a primary key. So with that primary key, the querying part or retrieving part should be easier and maintainable for you. So primary key constant we can specify for our ID columns moreover. So then comes the concepts of foreign key. So a foreign key basically identifies uh, means it identifies the unique record, but so here we have seen in the customer and order table. So this customer ID is an foreign key for orders table. So basically with the foreign key, hello.
Yes. Please continue, Aditya.
Yes, so with this foreign key, basically what specifies that these two tables are interlinked with each other. So to let the SQL know that these two tables are interrelated, we need to specify a foreign key, and that key is basically we specify as a foreign key. So this is the syntax for adding a foreign key. Okay, so.
So basically, in the simple words, guys, can I say the primary key foreign key relationship comes into the picture where you are having one to many kind of relationship, or if any kind of relationships are there? Because one customer can place many orders, right?
Yes.
Yes, Mansi.
And or if I consider the example of employee and department, then in one department there can be multiple employees. So whenever these two entities are actually somewhere connected to each other, and some part of my one table is going to be the part of the another table also. Whenever this kind of situation is there, then primary key foreign key relationship is there, and generally whatever foreign key is there is a primary key of some other table. Correct, guys?
Yes. Mansi.
Hello.
Yes, Mansi.
Yes, Aditya, continue please.
Yes, so basically this is the syntax for adding the foreign key. So basically here we see we have these order tables which we are trying to link with the persons table, and with what unique key, that is the person ID. So person ID is the primary key for the persons table, and I have created the foreign key as person ID in my orders table, which references persons table. And here in my orders table, my primary key is order ID. So in this way, basically we can specify the primary key and foreign keys. So then comes the question that why means we can add everything in the single column, means in the single entity only. So then we have the basically the normal forms which we specify in so that are not in the PPT, but this is where the database management system normalization comes into picture. So basically what with the normalization, what we do is basically we have a larger database or larger data set. So with this larger data set, we could have multiple or data duplication could happen. So means if you are having, so consider in this example only, so this customer 4 is having two orders. So customer 4 is having two orders, order 1 and order 2. But if these two tables were in the same, means basically we're not in normalized, or the normalization of these database tables was not done, then I will be having a single table, that is the means customer orders, I could see, and that customer orders tables will have multiple details, multiple entries for the customers and the orders. So basically, there would be two columns for customer ID 4 because he is having two orders. So this for specifying this means for normalizing these things. So what SQL has so this in the database management system, we have this concept of normalization. So basically, a large database defined in a single relation may result in data duplication. This repetition of data may result in making means the memory would be wasted. So maintaining and updating the records should be an utilization of this space, and errors and inconsistencies in the data would increase. So for this, for basically this, the normalization has come into picture. So what normalization is? The normalization is the process for organizing the data in the databases. So why do we need normalization? So normalization basically reduces the redundancy. So it means so duplication of data or the redundant data is reduced. So it divides the larger table into a smaller table and then add the relationships to them. So basically, we have relationships. We can add relationships in the foreign key, or we can create a unique table. Moreover, and in that table, we can link these two entities. So that is also one kind of part we can do. Uh, so this normalization basically. So this we have there's no five types of normalization, basically what we call 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, BCNF, 4NF, and 5NF. So based upon the database or the how many tables or entities which you are requiring, so you need to go through the each normalization form and check if I need to use this normalization form. So should I break this data with this normalization form of 1NF? So should I go to the 2NF or should I go to the 3NF? So based upon the database tables or entities, so this normalization which we need to do. So Mansi, if you need to add anything on this.
No, basically normalization is a very big topic, guys. So at this moment, it will not be feasible to discuss the normalization concept, right? But it's thank you very much, Aditya, for giving a little bit overview about it. Afterwards, related to normalization, I will share some links which you can go afterwards. So for the timing, just have a focus on the SQL part only.
So then basically we have this index we can specify. We can create an index so which would be used for retrieving the data. So create or retrieve the data very quickly. So for that we have this index constant also given in the SQL.
This
So
means
so
so actually in SQL, guys, we have a different concepts. We have a table concept, we are having an index concept, we are having a view concept, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? Yes or no, guys? Is there
Yes.
any view concept?
Yes, Mons.
Yes.
Right? So different concepts are there, right? And every concept is coming with their advantages and disadvantages, and in what situation we generally follow this particular concept. Right. Sorry for interruption, Aditya. Over to you.
okay. So after understanding this constants, so constants basically we can consider it part of the DDL only because it does the structural modification to our tables with the constants. So then comes the DML command. So DML specifies data manipulation language. So basically, whenever you are modifying the data, means you are inserting, updating, or deleting any records from the table. So then all these things comes under the DML. So DML commands are basically used to modify the database. It is responsible for all form of changes in the database. So any kind of not structural, the data related changes comes on. So for doing any data related changes, we use the DML commands. So DML commands are not auto committed. So basically, for the DML commands uh, to commit, so we can basically we need to specify the commit or rollback whenever we are performing any DML command. So if you are inserting any value, so it would be not directly inserted into a database until we call the commit uh, uh, So that is for the transaction control. Until we call the commit, the DML commands will be not be uh, stored in the databases. So that is the thing what we could specify the DML command. So these three are the main DML commands: insert, update, and delete. So insert is basically insert into table name, and then this has the syntax. So we need to specify the column names. Then we have this identifier values, and then we can specify the values which we need to insert. So we'll go to the okay. So here we can see that here I have a table customers with this column. So country name, contact name, address, city, postal code, and country. So, and with these values, I'm trying to insert into my database. So if I run this SQL, so you can see that rows affected one. So basically this entry gets added into my table. So here you can see this customer tables is having 92 records. So now if I add cardinal one, and if I run the SQL, so here the number of records, we can see that it will change to 93. So basically with this insert statement, we are able to add tables into your we are able to add rows into our columns, so records into our tables basically. So insert have these two kinds. So one is we can specify the column names which we need to insert, or other way around is if we need to enter all the other way around is if you enter all the columns which are present in a table, then we need to not specify the column names. Okay, so here ID, I think I need to specify. So until now I was not giving. So if I go to the select statement, so you can see this customer ID. So these are the 7 columns, but I was specifying only this. So I was only giving the 6 values, so it gave me an error. So now if I remove this and if I add ID to like 3000 or something, and if I click on run SQL, so you can see the number of records in the customer tables got added to 94. So these two way we can insert the data into the SQL or the table. So then comes the update command. So basically update command we use to update, do any update in the record, any particular record or in the all records which are already present in the system. So basically for the update we have update so here what I'm doing is, so this customer ID one, you can see the name of the customer is Alfred's for Futterkiste, but now I'm changing the contact name. So contact name of the first ID with customer ID having one is like Maria Andres, but I'm changing the contact name to Alfred and then changing the city to Frankfurt. So if I run this update command, and then if I open this customer tables, we could see that this contact name has changed. So previously it was Maria, then it changed to Alfred, which we used, and then the city also updated to Frankfurt. So basically when we need to update any record in our system, we use the update command. And the last thing is the delete command. So if we need to delete any record from the system, so we have this delete command. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to delete the customer whose name is Alfred Futterkiste. So the first customer ID I'll be deleting from the table. So for that we have syntax delete from customers, where customer name is Alfred Alpha. So basically, after I run this SQL, it will show that database changes are done and 1 rows are affected. And you can here see the number of records also got updated to 93. And now if I open the customers table, I could not see the customer with ID1 because we have deleted that customer with the delete table. So basically, basically we can say that DML commands are basically doing the manipulation on the data or records which we have inserted in our table. So is it clear? Can you move further?
Yes.
Okay, so the next command is DCL or the next category is the DCL category where we have basically controlling the accesses to the databases or the tables. So this control or access, we cannot give it on our own, but we do have database administrators or database admins which can run this kind of queries in the databases. So basically, so if you are having means whenever we specify the username and password in our properties file when we are connecting to the database, so the username and password are different for every of the environment we could see. So we can have different for production, we can have different for QA and all those stuff. So based upon that username, the database basically the database admin has given username or the user. So database admin has granted or given the access to some of the entities in that database server. So based upon the users, the database admin can provide the access of what one person can do on the specified table. So basically we can see he can grant an access or he can revoke an access. So database admin. So with the grant, he can basically specify like grant, select or update. So basically, if the database admin does not wish that this user, specific user, so XYZ user, should not insert any record in my system. So basically, he will just grant the access of select and update, select or update on the table XYZ, which on which table. So a person's table, no one can add the person. So basically, no one or the user. So user XYZ should not be having access to add the person. Then basically he will just grant you the access of select and update on that table. So person's table, whenever you will be querying with that username or that password, you are logged into your uh, MySQL server, or you are connected through the command prompt or anything else, and then you are trying to query. And then if the database admin has not given you the insert update, and if you try to run the insert query, you will get an error that you are not authorized to do, means you are not authorized to perform this action on the database table. So with this grant and revoke, database admins basically provide the accesses, and we can revoke the access of the select and update on the table for the specified users as well. So these two commands are clear. Hello.
Yes. Yes, guys, are you clear?
Yes.
So the next part is the transaction control language. So we know that the DML commands which we are performing, so like insert, update, or delete are not auto committed. So this commands are not auto committed. For that, for committing the commands, so there comes into the picture the transaction control language, that is the TCL. So this TCL basically has these three main methods in it: commit, rollback, and save point. So basically these operations, so we like DDL, these operations are automatically committed to the database. So these DML commands are the only commands which are not directly committed to the database. All other commands are directly committed. So to commit the DML commands to database, we need this TCL. So with the TCL, we have commit, rollback, and save point. So what does commit do? So commit command is used to save all the transactions to the database. So consider you have run. So these are the, I'm just giving an example. So now I need to insert this cardinal 1, 2, and 3 to the database. And with that, if I run this command, the data is not committed to my database system. Means this is the online server, but if you are working with any of the means you are running to the command prompt or the SQL servers basically, then if you run this command, so data, if you run the select query, and if you're not run the commit command, or if you're not enabled auto commit on the server, so these queries will not basically, this data will be not present in the system until you specify commit at the end of your query basically. So if you are adding this cardinal 1, 2, 3 customers, so with this basically, if you are not specify commit, then it will not commit that commit your, or it will not insert the values into the system. So here is what commit does. Then rollback. So rollback command is used to undo transactions that have not already been saved into a database. So now basically, so this cardinal 3, I was supposed not to add in the database, but I have already run, means that is already present in my transactions list. So now what I could do is basically I will call this rollback command. So with this rollback command, what happens? So all the transactions which are all the commands which are in the transactions list would be rolled back and will be not be committed into database. So that is what rollback specifies. And then we have save point. So save point, basically it is used to roll the transaction back to the certain point without saving, rolling back the entire transaction. So what I specified is, so now I have done this. I have done this two. I have added one cardinal 1 and cardinal 2, and this cardinal 3 I was not supposed to add, but I have added it incorrectly. So here I can specify save point, and the save point name I could give save point 1. So with this, basically what happens, so until this save point, all my save point 1, so until my save point, all these transaction will get committed. But after this save point, we need to call the commit command once again, post that send point, and then only the other commands post the save point will get committed into database, or we can roll back them. So we'll not be needing to roll back all the transactions, but we can specify the save points at different levels of our transactions. And then with that different level of transactions, the transactions we could commit to the database, or we could roll back based upon the save point. So is it clear?
Yes.
So then the next thing is data query language. So basically data query language is okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Aditya. Just one question regarding the rollback. If you are going with the operation or the command of dropping a table, that could be rollback or not in this case.
No, no, no. The DDL commands. So those are the DDL commands. So DDL
Okay, that
commands
won't be
are auto committed.
okay. Is there
So
any another way, like if by mistakenly we have do something wrong, dropping a table in this case, how it could be restored?
no,
Do you have any idea?
no, I don't have. If anyone else have, then maybe. Because what we know is the DDL commands, means other than DML commands, all other commands are auto
How
committed
to
to the
come? Yeah,
system.
correct. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, no issues. Yeah, you can continue, Aditya. Sorry.
Okay. So then we come to the DQL language. So that is the data query language. So once you are done with creating the tables, adding the values in it, updating and all the stuff. So you have added everything, but now you need to see the values, or means you need to see what are entities or what all records you inserted in table. So for that, SQL has provided as the DQL, that is the data query language, and which we have with which we can use with the select statement. So select expressions and then from table. Basically, this is the syntax, the simple query syntax for the data query language. So here we can see. So we are selecting star star. Star specifies we will needing all the records, or we can specify the column name. So if we need customer name only from the customer. So we can basically specify here the column which we need. And then if we run, we can see we'll only get the customer name. So this is the basic syntax for data query language. So with this data query language, we can add multiple operators, we can add the clauses and conditions. So based on that clauses and conditions, so we have this 93 data, but I need only single element. So that will look further how we can get it using the where clause, or if I need to order the data, how I could order it and all those stuff. So this is the last kind of distribution which SQL has done, that is the DQL, which is used for retrieving the data. So before
Okay,
going through,
Aditya, 1 second. I think so. Apparently, you have asked me the question that how you can recover the tables which are dropped, right?
Yes.
Right. So for that database to database, different techniques are there, right? So every database is having a different technique. So in the Oracle, there is one particular, what you can say, a command kind of something called as like flashback tables करके, right? SQL में कुछ अलग है, IBM के database में कुछ अलग है. So as per the database to database, there are certain techniques which they have mentioned by which you can remove the drop command.
Okay.
so but Mansi, those commands, what we know it means that backup should be enabled, right, for running that commands.
Yes. That's why
Yes.
ना it's database to database. That's why the
Hmm.
techniques are also different. मतलब Oracle में जो technique है वो MySQL में नहीं आएगा. SQL सर्वर का अलग है.
So, and also there's some constraint while doing that flashback or rollback, which we'll be doing. So the backup part means if you are running the backup every day, so only the backup part until that day which has done, so that only we could roll back or get the data from.
Yes. If the backup is not there, na,
Mm.
then there is no third party tool which is generally available which will do that particular thing. Yes, Aditya, you can continue.
So the next thing, so working means for working with this DQL, we need some operators. We need to know some operators which SQL has already provided to us. So means what I specified this select expression, normal select expression will return all the records. So there are millions of records in my database. So if I run this query, so how I could find the specific record or specific record which I specific record which I require. So for that, basically SQL has given us the leverage to add the clause or condition what we specify that where clause. So working with this where clause SQL statement, we need to know some operators. So these are means operators like arithmetic, comparison, logical, and operators to negate the condition. So basically, not is what present in this. So mainly we'll be looking in this three types of operators which SQL has given to us. So the first one is arithmetic operator. So arithmetic operator is like so the normal arithmetic operations which we do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. So this we all are aware of. So basically, so if I so here you can see. So if I'm just running this query with the modulus operator, that is 20 into 30, not modulus with the multiplication operator. So if I'm running the command as select 20 into 30, so I'll get an output as 600. So with this arithmetic operators, we can say that so with these arithmetic operators, we can do the arithmetic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or modulus on our tables, table values basically. So these are the arithmetic operation. It must be clear to all of you, I assume. So then these are the main operators which will be needing to know. So so these are the comparison operators basically for comparing two entities. So whenever you are specifying the where clause, so we need to specify the column name and then the column name and then what value, what equivalent value which you will be needing for that. So for that we will be mostly using the comparison operator. So comparison operator basically equals, so this checks that if the column name, the value in that column is equal to the specified value. So A equal to B is so basically, if the two values are same, then it will return true or else false. So not equals basically if we need some values which are not equal to the specified values. So if we need all the users, so city is not Pune. So then we can use basically write the statement like so basically if I need orders, so select star from orders where customer ID not equal to 4. So what I need is basically I need all the orders, but not the orders which are having the customer ID as 4. So for this I can use this logical. For this I can use this comparison operator not equal to, and if I run this query, so you can see we can see that orders except the customer ID 4 we can see. So the same comes with this. So this also checks not equals condition only. So not equals basically. So not equals we can use like this or like this as well. So then we have this greater than operator. So here if I could specify greater, if I could know the greater than operator, then I will use amount is. So if I need a all order means all orders whose amount is greater than 400 if I need. So basically what I'll do, I will use this greater than operator and then if I run, so I'll get the order which is having amount more than 400. That is only one order. So I'll get this thing. So the similar we have less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, not greater than, and we also have not less than and not greater than as well. So these two are the negate operators which we could say. So and then comes the logical operators. So logical operators are like in Java we have the keywords. So in SQL also these logical operators are like keywords. So this all and any between exist in like not or same. Some are logical, basically logical operators which SQL has given to us. So what does this all does is, so if you are having any subquery running, if you are running any subquery in your system, and if all the entities in that subquery match to your condition, then only you will get the result, else you don't get any result. So this is what all specify. And we used basically, so if I show you the example of and, so here you can see and is used over here. So and were used in the where clause if we need to give multiple conditions. So here what I need to be the condition is city is London and country is UK. So I need the customer. So city is London and country is UK. So basically if I need to means it's like a and operator, logical and operator which we use in the Java. It is same like that. And so if I run this SQL, I will get only the customers which city is London and country is UK. So from the records, 93 records, I'll just get 6 records if I need to add a filter. So same goes with or. So so if I write here or, so so what it will check? It will check if city is London or country is UK. So it will consider this as an or condition. So if I run this SQL, I'll basically I got this city, one more city goes which has country UK, but the city is not London. So this is same as the or condition which you specify in our condition means in our if statements like this. So then comes the between clause. So with the between clause, basically it specifies. So the values are between 50 and 60. So it considers uh, whenever you are using the between clause. So between takes the first means it considers the value from the first means between as a limit basically. So it considers the lowest limit and then it will not consider the values which are present in the highest limit. So here we can see the price between 50 and 60. So we have only these two elements, 50 and 60. So if there was any record with uh, if there was any product who had the price exactly 50, then this select mean this between statement would have written that product ID as well. So but that does not accompany with the in clause. So basically, so if I use the means if the in clause, basically it's same like between, but between runs on the uh, what we call, it's an kind of a arithmetic, or we can say the integer kind of database, and in we can specify any kind of data. Basically here we can see I need the customer where the city names are, basically city names are Paris and London. So if I have list means, so instead of adding multiple or and condition, so here means the equivalent query for this would be, let's start from customers where city equals Paris or city equals London. So these two queries are equivalent. So here we can see that the city, the scene clause basically checks all the elements which are present in all the elements which we are providing the comma separated values, and it will create a query like this for you. So instead of writing or conditions, if you are needing from the single entity, means we are comparing a single column and we need multiple, means we need multiple means we need to compare to the multiple values, then we can use the in instead of writing multiple or conditions. So this is the usage of in. So the same kind of uh, so like this is also one of the mostly widely used queries which we are using. So
Okay.
this
Aditya, can I add something quickly
yes,
before you
yes,
move to the next part?
yes.
Sorry for interruption, but the between is used to select the range of data between the two values, and in May
Yes,
you can specify the multiple values. That is the
yes,
basic difference.
yes,
I just wanted to add that particular one. That's it.
yes. Basically, in will create the query like or, but uh, between will create a query like means the values should be greater than or equal
Greater
to
than or
and
equal
less
to,
than
yes, yes.
and less than or equal to kind
Mm-hmm.
of.
Correct, Aditya. Very correct.
So with this like statement, so if we need to compare with the string means string, so we can have the condition like we need the cities where Paris and London are present. So if we need to compare with the hello.
Yes, Aditya, we are able to hear you.
Okay, sorry, my internet got disconnected. So now with this means we need means we have sometimes conditions like we need to compare the strings. So for that SQL has given us this like operator. So with the like operator we can specify that whatever condition which we can give on the names basically. So city is a varchar or it is a string. So if I need to get all the customers with having city name starting from S, so I can basically specify this ampersand basically specifies that um, after S there can be n number of values. So if I run this SQL, so you can see I will get all the cities basic means all the customers who are having city name starting with S. So same thing. So if I could so this ampersand basically you can give it anywhere. So if you need to get any cities which are ending with F, then we can write like this. So basically, if I write the ampersand before the variable which I am having, so that will basically consider like there could be any number before any number of characters before S. So it will compare like that. So here you can see, and every city whose name ends with S, we are getting the value. So sometimes there's some condition like so I need my city starting with B and ending with basically S, and there could be a number of values in it. So here I could specify like this. If I run the SQL, I will get the city name starting with B and ending with S. So one more thing we can do is there's one more operator which we use is en underscore. So basically you can see this. So basically what this underscore specifies, this ampersand specifies that there could be a number of entries between these two values. But with this underscore, we can specify the uh, accurate amount of entries which we require. So after E, there should be only one letter or one character. So this is what my condition is. So there I can specify the ampersand. So if I run this SQL, so we will get the same response because E and S are same, or else I will do it hell and I'll give two underscores. So basically with this you can see. So after L, only these two values are present and only that city is being returned to us. So is it clear? So then we'll come to the last part which we will be looking today is filtering and sorting the data. So for the filtering, we consider we had already looked into the where. So with the where clause, basically we used all these operators which are already present. And then there are some other filtering and sorting techniques, means sorting clauses which SQL has provided to us. So there's one distinct which we can specify. So what distinct gives is it returns us the distinct values or the different values in the certain column. So if I need so from the customers table, I need all the city names. So basically what I could give is distinct city. So this SQL will return me all the distinct city name. But if the distinct means a distinct was not provided, it would have given me a multiple or repeated records for the city. So basically you can see Mexico is repeated. All the cities are repeated based upon the user. So if I need the distinct values, I will be using this distinct for filtering my data. So we also have this limit, fetch, and top. So these three commands does the same thing, but they are used in the different. Uh, we could say they are used in the different basically RDBMS servers. We could say so. This limit is present in MySQL, fetch is present in Oracle, and then a SQL Server and MS Access we have this top command. So basically all these three commands basically limits the data kind of. So this limit 3, so it will return only the first 3 records from my customers table. So in the Oracle fetch first 3, so it will return me the first three rows from the customers table where the country is Germany, and same the top will return the top 3 elements from the customers table where country is Germany. So basically these 3 queries are same, but they are used differently means they are means these 3 commands are different in 3 different databases, we could say. And then we have the order by and group by. So we basically order by and group by are used for sorting the data. So order by clause basically um, orders the data in the ascending order. So if we need distinctivity, so here you can see, so data is not sorted. So I'll get anything in it. But if I just use order by and then I specify city. So and if I run this command, so we can see that we'll get the sorted data. So order by is basically used for sorting the data based upon the column. And if we need to do it in the descending order, we just need to specify it as descending, and then we can see it returns the data in the descending order. And the last is the group by clause. So group by clause basically what group by does is it does the grouping. So we can consider group by is like creating a group means if we need the number of persons residing in a city kind of thing. So basically we use the group by clause, and with that group by clause we'll get the values which means we'll get the count or maximum salary for the particular department employer, all these things. So there this group by comes into picture. So for the group by, so here we can see. So before that, I'll cover 2 things. So with the group by clause, we can use this aggregate functions like count, max, mean, sum, average. So these aggregate functions are mostly used. So these functions are present in each DB, and these functions we mostly use with the group by clause. So basically now finding the number of customers in each country. So specifically what we are doing, we are getting the count of customer ID and the country from the customers table, and we are grouping by country. So basically, and then after that we are basically ordering by count count of customer ID in the descending order. So if I run this SQL, we can see, so we are getting this in USA there are more number of customers, and then the minimum is 1, that is with Ireland and Poland. So basically what group by has done, so it has grouped the records based upon the country and the count. Sorry. And then, and if we need to specify any condition, so where clause does not go with the group by. So for the group by, we have this having clause. So basically with the having clause, we can specify any other conditions. Means if we need to specify the condition, we can do it with the help of having clause. So here, if I need to give any other constraint to my select statement, and I need to group them. So basically, I need to use the group by with having clause. So having clause does not work with normal SQL. It should be present with the group by and where condition does not work when you are using the group by. So this is the simple rule when you're means you're using where or when to use where and where to use having clause. So this is it for today. If anyone had some doubts.
Means Aditya, I have one doubt. Means
Okay.
we can use having and group by both, right? And where and having we can use, but
Where and
having
having we
sorry
cannot
group by and
use.
where we cannot use.
Group by and where we cannot use. Okay.
Okay.
No. Wait. Where and group by we can use.
But he just mentioned we cannot use.
I think so we can mention the where and group by.
Once if I specify where. Greater than if I do done. Okay. We can use where with group by, but if we need to specify the condition in the group by, then we cannot
We have to
use
use
where.
having.
Uh,
See, simple logic. Where is going to be used to put the generalized condition, which is I'm going to apply while retrieving. And if I have applied some group by functionality, and from that group by functionality, if I wanted to add one more condition, which is associated to grouping, then you are going to have a having clause.
Yeah, got
Once
it.
we used having clause for aggregate functions mostly. Like in where clause, we are not able to perform aggregate function on where clause.
हाँ बराबर ना.
Yeah,
But
just
the
I'm
question is ki, can we use where clause and group by? Then answer is yes.
yes.
Okay. And we can use group by and having. Got it?
Yes, Mansi.
And where and having हो सकता है क्या? एक बार चेक करके देखो आदित्य.
I think no.
नहीं होगा ना, क्योंकि having
नहीं हो
group
सकता।
by के साथ ही यूज हो सकता है।
हाँ पर मैं ऐसा लिख सकती हूँ क्या कि where भी है, group by भी है और having भी है, तीनों भी है. All the three are there.
Not possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that can be.
चेक करो.
Yes. Compromised.
yes, we can specify both together.
Actually, we can specify all the three together. Where भी है, group by भी है और having भी है. That is possible.
But if you are not having group by, then we cannot use having.
Use having. Correct. Okay. So guys, you have to check out these permutation combinations. Huh?
Mansi, I'm done from my side today.
Okay. Yes, so I think so. This was the today's agenda only. Actually, SQL is divided into two sessions, right? One session is today, and another session Aditya is going to conduct, or another technical discussion Aditya is going to lead on Monday. So basically, the today's idea is like ki we have actually revised all the points which you were like somewhere already familiar about. Correct, guys?
Yes, Mansi.
right?
Yes.
That is DDL, DCL, DML, right? These particular kind of things. What is the difference between the drop and delete? Right, then what is save point, what is commit, what is insert, update, delete, right? Then obviously the constraint we have discussed a little bit, right? That is primary key, foreign key, what are the other constraints, right? And then last we have a focus on that how we are going to retrieve the data. Okay, correct. And how to sort the data, how to filter, right? So now the advanced part which is associated to SQL, that is considered like the usage of case expression, then a usage of alias concept, what types of joins are there, what are the subqueries, right? These are the important aspects which are generally asked in the interview, right? But to directly jump to that, we decide it is better that just have a revision of all the basic things and then we will go for that. That's why the session one has been decided. And now on the Monday, we are going to see the advanced part, that is subquery, then correlated subqueries, and all these things we are going to check it out. Correct?
Okay, Mansi.
Right. So I hope you enjoyed the session.
Yes. Yes.
It gives a quick revision for all of you.
Yes. Yes, Mansi.
Yes.
Yes. So Aditya, thank you very much for this interactive and a very nice session or presentation. Right. Looking forward for your Monday's work or Monday's presentation.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. And guys, I want Monday's session should be more interactive, because in Monday's session we are going to discuss the joins and subquery wala concept, which is which is frequently asked in the interview. Means they will give you the scenario and they will ask you, okay, write down the query for it. Right now, in some situations, what happens for some particular statements, I can write down the query using joins also. I can write down the query using subqueries also, right? So then the another question will be come into the picture, that what is the better approach? Okay, or maybe database to database, some words are there, right, which can be get used in the queries, right? So all these important things we are going to discuss on Monday. So I want Monday's session should be more interactive, okay, because we are going to discuss the points which are very frequently asked by the interviewer. Correct, guys? Can I expect that?
Yes.
Right? And actually you can discuss the queries which you have been faced in the client interview and which you were like able to solve. If you are able to solve, please give the answer. If you are not able to solve, then we will try to solve it over there. Correct?
Okay.
Okay. So I think so that's it for today's, guys, right? So Aditya, one request, can you please just share the PPTs on our chat group?
Sure, Mansur.
Yes. So thank you, Aditya. Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for the participation, right? And waiting for the Monday's discussion. Okay, we can conclude now, guys.
Thanks, Aditya. Thanks,
Thank you,
Mansi.
Aditya.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aditya.
Thanks, Aditya. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.